Ambassador
Germany
in
calling,
Berlin,
Germany calling,
the German
Germany
government
calling.
a final note
Here are the Reichsender
stating
envoys.
that unless
Station
we heard
Bremen.
from them by 11 o'clock, that they were prepared at once to withdraw their troops from Poland, a state of war would exist between us. I have to tell you now that no such undertaking has been received, and that consequently this country is at war with Germany.
This is the Home and Forces Programme. Here is the news, and this is Frederick Dryeswood reading it. 2 hours ago, Italy declared war on Germany. A proclamation by Marshal Badoglio brands the Germans for savagery against the civil population and says there can be no peace while a single German remains on Italian soil. Italy's new step has been acknowledged in London, Washington, and Moscow. Her status will be that of a co-belligerent, not an ally. The terms of the armistice with the Allied command remain in full force.
Reports from the Air Ministry late this evening give a fuller picture of last night's air raid on Berlin, the heaviest ever carried out on the capital, and one which coincided with the first anniversary of the first mass attack by the Germans on London at night. The BBC Home Service. The German army invaded Holland and Belgium early this morning by land and by landing from parachutes. The armies of the Low Countries are resisting. An appeal for help has been made to the Allied government
and were shot out of the sky.
The Allied troops are moving to
Das Oberkommando der Wehrmacht gibt bekannt. Ein im Atlantik operierender deutscher Flottenverband unter Führung des Flottenchefs Admiral Lütjens stieß im Seegebiet um Island auf schwere englische Seestreitkräfte. Das Schlachtschiff Bismarck hat hierbei einen englischen Schlachtkreuzer, wahrscheinlich Hood, vernichtet.
At the moment we can see two bright flashes, three flashes from the other side of the channel, and three great puffs of smoke, another fourth. And any moment now the shells will be arriving over this side. 4 columns of smoke going up on the far side as the convoy goes past us here. And there's the first explosion. And the second. Just a very short way in front of us to see here. Tremendous column of water goes up. There's a third bomb just come down now.
Perhaps one of the saddest parts of the fire blitz was the tremendous damage done to working class houses. Row after row of such places. Row after row of working class houses were being demolished by fire. And the plight of the people was very bad indeed. And I remember in one area of Birmingham, the Kent Street Baths area, where all these people were sheltered in the swimming bath area, and it was very sad to see people crying and people so terribly upset about having lost their homes in the raids.
Covent Garden was a very deep shelter, very deep, and I went down to my bed and there were crowds of people there already, you see. And, well, at least I rested my limbs. You couldn't go put to sleep. And it was about 5 o'clock in the morning when the first train went by and the raid was over, and we were able to make for home along the Piccadilly line and to Balham.
You mentioned at the beginning of the war you were thinking through your position. Had you definitely decided that you were going to be a conscientious objector? And was it necessary? Were you liable?
No, I wasn't liable to be called up, no. And no, I, in fact, I had 2 years, I think, before I would have been called up.
But your mind, was it made up then?
Oh yes, I had intended to be a I did intend to be a conscientious objector. And I did intend to be this kind of conscientious objector where one took some part, one demonstrated one's sympathy for other people involved in the war. That was, I think, the most important thing in my mind.
Yes, how would you describe the basis of your anti-war attitude? Now, what did it rest on? You explained that it wasn't religious.
Oh, I think it rested on a curious view of the unity of mankind, which I can hardly remember exactly how I expressed it now, but my tribunal thought it mystical and rather egotistical, they eventually said, yes. But I can't say now exactly because I have no documents. It's all 40 years ago to say what I actually wrote.
Can you remember what you felt, though?
Oh, I did feel that all mankind were part of each other, you know, and I felt that it was, you know, that sort of 20 years of love and care bringing up a child were going to be set at naught by one rifle bullet. There was a sort of horrible thing about this, that a rifle bullet could cut short not only the hopes of parents, but a human being with all his incredible potentials.
Then the real first flying began on the 1,000 plane raid on Cologne. We've been shooting our mouths off to the world that we could send 1,000 planes over to Germany any time we liked. And what the public didn't know was the fact that 35 to 40% of those were training planes. That was terrible. I mean, one night we went up there on Bremen, and we'd done it a couple of nights previous, and I said to the lads, if anything happens, I'm not going in tonight, you know, and that's how I felt about it. Anyway, we approached Bremen, and for some unknown reason, which we found out later, the aircraft was trying to push us up to the Ruhr. Well, if you go up the Ruhr, it's deadly. You know, usually up the Ruhr, you've got aircraft called, of course, that's towards the Krupp works and things like that. And we were running up for a bombing run, and then the bomb doors open, and they were trying to turn us up the Ruhr. And I had a premonition that they would push us up there for some unknown reason. There was no fighters about, you see. And I don't know, something told me that it was going to be a bit of a trap. So I told the fellas to hang on. I did a very violent turn, plus 2-3 points to start to port. And as I went round this violent turn, I pulled the jettison switch. The bombs were already fused, by the way. And I slung the bombs, the containers, the whole ruddy issue in a wide sweeping arc onto the target. And I had great difficulty getting back, or my navigator did. Wanted to know how come the photograph showed the sky on a bombing run, you know, so he explained that we hit on the starboard, because you could say that, because you was great. Anyway, it turned out afterwards, I came back on the reciprocal the same way as I came in. Not the way that we planned to come out, do you know what I mean? We was going into Bremen and then turn round and come back on the position B on the North Sea and come home.
The Fire Brigade and Auxiliary Fire Services have done and are doing their usual splendid work. But we must leave them free to fight big fires. The country needs you to see that they have as few fires to fight as possible. Many fire parties are already giving the model the needed help. We need more still, everywhere. We must quickly get to the point of organization and readiness where not a single, wherever it falls,
possibilità di continuare la impari lotta contro la soverchiante il governo italiano, riconosciuta la impossibilità di continuare la impari lotta contro la soverchiante potenza.
The Allies are across the Rhine. Troops under General Hodges established a bridgehead on the east bank south of Bonn yesterday afternoon. A Reuters report from the 1st American Army says that the crossing was made at Remagen, which is about 25 miles south of Cologne between Bonn and Koblenz.
People of Western Europe. A landing was made this morning on the coast of France by troops of the Allied Expeditionary Force. This landing is part of the concerted United Nations plan for the liberation of Europe, made in conjunction with our great Russian allies. I have this message for all of you. Although the initial assault may not have been made in your own country, the hour of your liberation is approaching.
All hands to beaching station. This is the day and this is the hour. The sky is lightening over the coast of Europe as we go in. The sun is blazing down brightly now. It's almost like an omen, the way it suddenly come out just as we were going in. The whole sky is bright, the sea is a glittering mass of silver, with all these craft of every kind moving across it, and the great battleships in the background blazing away at the shore.
Thousands of you in this country have had to leave your homes and be separated from your fathers and mothers. My sister Margaret Rose and I feel so much for you, as we know from experience what it means to be away from those we love most of all. You living in new surroundings, we send a message of true sympathy. And at the same time, we would like to thank the kind people who have welcomed you to their homes in the country.
Hello, Mum and Dad. Don't get worried about us. We're all very happy here, and I don't think anybody wants to go home yet. We go on the moors nearly every night and watch all the cows and the sheep grazing and the river flowing. We're quite near it now, and we go playing football on the football pitch and watch the colliery. Last week the boys and girls had a match of netball, and there was 14 girls and 3 boys, but the girls won us.
War has at all times called for the fortitude of women. Even in other days, when it was an affair of the fighting force,